Welcome to the reaction to the first reading of Chapter 3 of How to Lose a Planet, the Afrofuture Epic. Um, so usually I just freestyle these. I don't really typically keep notes, but I know one thing from that reading that stood out to me was the opening scene with the mirror and how Kato is trying to activate the mirror so it can scan his biological data and he gets 5 minutes off his prison sentence. And that was just something that kind of came out of the realization or just learning about how I don't know if this is still the case now, but how inmates work in prisons and be paid literally pennies per hour for like making license plates and something like that. And it's just like all this intense labor for this meager pay, which is really just an acceptable form of exploitation. I don't know. And there was also something in my work life. I can't remember the specifics where gathering data on people, just gathering people's habits. Actually, I was talking to somebody recently the last couple of years about this, how companies are really interested in just people's television habits and what people like to buy. And just like, this is like a really powerful, interesting thing. And so I figured how people work, how people respond to a stressful situation like prison seemed like something that major corporations would also be interested in, which actually, and kind of references that with the Moon's Tuskegee, in the sense that the Tuskegee experiment was essentially that. It was black men suffering from syphilis and doctors, while keeping the cure in their back pocket, just watched them go blind and insane from syphilis just to see what would happen for 40 years. And like for 4 decades that went on. And the only reason, and that was up until the 70s. And the only reason that stopped is because someone snitched, or would have kept going for who knows how long. So that was kind of, those are some of the factors that were just inspiration behind the mirror scene. I feel like just from a technical sense, and again, this is also part of the world building. So it is another instance of something that's science fiction technology, right? To kind of expand the world. But from a writing point, it was also an attempt at like I could have just said, hey, there's a mirror in the cell that records his biological data. But I used that to also kind of expose the reader to who Kato is as a person, not just his emotions, like how angry he gets at the mirror, but the things he would say, like "I miss cooking," or sometimes I wonder maybe I refused to kill because I was afraid I'd like it, which is something I went through as a kid. So I know that was a thought I had when I was going through my drama with the army and said I won't kill. That was one of the fears I had, like maybe I would like killing her, and like is a strong word, but it's not an impossibility because I did know people in the army who liked killing. I remember one guy gave me a hard time because at that point everybody knew that I just wasn't down to do it, but they figured, he's gonna go to Iraq, he's gonna do it because he has to do it. And then I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'll do time. And I remember like they just burst out laughing at me, and I was like, yeah, laugh what you want, man. I'm not killing anybody. I'm really not interested in this. But I won't say that person liked killing because he did act like he did, but I knew cats who act like they did. Then you get them drunk, and then they're super either remorseful, introspective, sad. I remember one guy, we bounced together at a bar, and he had talked about shooting a baby in Iraq, and I was like, all right, even if this is a true story, you're not proud of this. And then sure enough, he got drunk. Maybe 6 months later, he was just going off about how it was the most dehumanizing thing he's ever done in his entire life. Another guy, he was my lieutenant. I got court-martialed. I was sent to the county jail. They brought me back to post to do like medical stuff, whatever. So I'm like handcuffed. I'm in like that black and white outfit. And my lieutenant was telling me how, because he testified for the prosecution during my court martial, he's telling me how when my lawyer asked him a question, my lawyer cut him off because he actually had some nice things he wanted to say. Because he respected the way I did it. Because he was like, you weren't like trying to make a show of it. Because there was somebody else on post who was like on CNN every week trying to get out of going to war. It's like, yeah, you just seem to really be committed to not killing. Yeah, it's just, yeah, man, it's just the way I grew up. I'm not doing it. But we talked about that for a minute because he's like, yeah, I've killed people and I can't shake it. But yeah, there's always that thought in the back of my mind because I knew one sergeant, I think he did enjoy it. He bragged about it all the time. I think he might have been on like the psychopath scale. But and if matter of fact, my roommate had told me when we go to Iraq, you have to kill people because if you don't, that sergeant who I thought might be psycho, he said he'll kill you. Like he'll find a reason to kill, or he'll find a way to kill you and make it look legit. So all those thoughts kind of played into that line where Kato's saying, I'm afraid I might like it. But also the world building, the mirror is just a way not just like to have something cool in science fiction, but also to further the exploration of Kato's character. And that was actually intentional because an earlier draft of this chapter, one of the critiques I got back, which was a really great one, was that the story didn't feel like sci-fi. There wasn't enough sci-fi stuff in there. And I was like, yeah, it's true. I really haven't been putting a lot of effort into that. So the mirror is one of the things that came out of that workshop in grad school. But also to kind of keep things like that moving with some momentum, you know, build a relationship between your setting and your characters, basically. Like, how does your setting react to your characters and vice versa? Those are really important things to consider when building out your world. One of the critiques I got from an agent was that he felt like the world building slowed the story for him. So I did go back and try to tighten up the relationship between the world and the characters so that the world that I'm building out feels relevant to who these people are. Because really, every story is essentially about that connection, that emotional connection between the audience and the story. All right, that's it. Those are my thoughts. Deuces.